I'm about to head over to Laurel DeSilvy's newest house hack, her second house hack, and she is killing the game. And it's funny how like we first start out house hacking and we want to go hard in the paint with trying to get as much income as possible, but now she's looking into a more of like a quality of life, like this is a home kind of feel to it. And I am so excited to show you guys what this all looks like. All of this is coming up next in this video, going over the numbers, going over the tour, and how she is managing her second house hack over in the city of Denver. Let's get right into it. What's up guys? We are here with Laurel. Really excited to just go through her house hack. She has been here for a while now, but she's been making some income on this, and it's within the city of Denver where a lot of my clients are looking into, but are just not too knowledgeable of like what is possible around here. So either way, thanks for hopping on, Laurel. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so where are we exactly? What's the whole shindig here?
Yeah, so we are in the Barnum West neighborhood. It's off of the cross streets are Federal and Alameda. So it's got, the Bronco Stadium is a couple miles north of us, and a lot of different shops and a lot of growth throughout the neighborhood. So
yeah, you were mentioning earlier that you were just seeing so many investors coming in just within your neighborhood, a couple blocks around, like people just putting money into this area.
We joke that every walk we take with the dogs, we see a new build pop up or renovation, and so it's exciting. It's,
awesome.
It's a lot of growth.
Yeah, really excited to see what this actually looks like, because I have not personally seen the basement yet. So as of right now, did you have to do much work to make that happen?
So initially we were looking at houses that had a basement kitchen already, it fully separated, and the price range for that was significantly higher. And instead we took a slightly different approach and said, what could this house be converted and have a kitchen added into the basement? Yeah. And so fortunately we found that the laundry room here, it was 3 times bigger than needing just the, I guess, washer and dryer. And it's a small kitchen, but for an Airbnb, I feel like it's the perfect size of you can cook if you want, and it has everything you need. And so we ended up adding a full kitchen to the basement. So yeah, the price point was way more affordable, and we invested a little bit, so hopefully that helps our equity as well. Yeah, I'm so excited to see what you guys did. I mean, all this hype that you're talking about with like I hope it lives up to it.
Well, awesome. Without further ado, let's go take a tour of the outside, what things look like just on the main floor where you live, and also what that looks like on the basement, the full-on kitchen, and all that good stuff for your Airbnb. So let's go right into it.
Great, let's do it. All right, welcome to my home. We're gonna do a tour, but first wanted to show you the right is the driveway, and this is actually how the basement guests access their separate unit. So we're going to enter the front door, but they enter through this driveway area. All right, so this fence we actually did add just a few months ago. We wanted to have a whole enclosed space. We have dogs and wanted them to be able to roam free throughout the yard, and so we decided to add this in, and we love it so far. All right, so this is our living room. So in the unit that we live in, the upstairs unit is 3 bed and 2 baths. Me and my partner both working from home, we needed kind of the 3 bedrooms. 2 baths is preferable, and so then in the basement's gonna be a separate bedroom and a separate bathroom down there too. Okay, so this is office number 1. So we really only added paint. Pretty much everything in the upstairs unit was already renovated, which gave us a lot of freedom to just focus on the basement, which was really nice. The biggest things that we added was all the furniture, and then added some paint so that it just fit more of our vibe and the colors we wanted. So this is bedroom / office number 1. So really just an office. One pain point that I have noticed, and I think this is common to homes built in the 20s, is there aren't very many storage spaces. So we have 2 closets that we do use in the upstairs unit, that's our unit, and so it just limits a little bit of the storage room since we don't have, the basement is only for our Airbnb guests. So it's a slight limitation, but yes, this is office number 1. And this is the first bathroom. This is our guest bathroom. Really, we just added this accent wall right here. We have a clawfoot tub, which is nice. And yeah, great extra bathroom that we have. Continuing on, this is the kitchen. I feel like this was obviously a renovation project, and I feel that there was a wall here at some point. So I love how open this room feels. They did a lot with a little bit of space, I feel like, with this kitchen, and made it so that we can have some bar seating. We have all the appliances we need and the space we need, and it's just a cute little kitchen. Now moving into our second guest bedroom, and this is my office. Again, a little bit tight. I think that's kind of the biggest downside for this house for us. It's just a little bit tight on, I have a lot of clothes and I have some big furniture, but otherwise it's a great little office space for me. Now this is the primary bedroom. Really, so we decided this was our bedroom because we had access to the backyard. Not sure if you can see my dogs through there, but the nice thing is that we have access to the backyard, which is fully fenced off, whereas the Airbnb guests have access to the separate unit, but they don't enter through the backyard. So sometimes the dogs can see them through the fence, but for the most part, they're fully separate. And then finally, this is the primary bathroom. We have a rainwater shower, which I love the aesthetic of. I feel like it's not as functional as I imagine it would be, but love that we have a double vanity. I feel like that's something I can no longer live without. But yeah, this is our bathroom. So this is our backyard. So when we originally moved in, this was just a mud pit. And we debated, do we want to add grass? But just with the nature of dogs tearing it up, we decided we were going to xeriscape it. So we added a bunch of these small rocks, thinking we were going to do turf at some point. Now we think we actually like the rocks. It's easy to maintain. We added a fire pit here, as well as a chicken coop, which hopefully we'll get chickens in the spring. And actually just put this hot tub in today. So it's this is a more affordable hot tub. So this is an inflatable hot tub. I actually really like these hot tubs. They look nicer because they have this wood aesthetic of paneling, but this costs maybe $600 to $800. I think some hot tubs are, I've heard, like around $5,000 to $10,000. So for just a easy, yes, you have a hot tub and it still heats up to 105. I feel like this is a great option for guests, especially for something like a basement Airbnb. So this is interesting. So this we literally just added because of some other Airbnbs and switching out some stuff. And so this is how we kind of enclosed the guest area to be separate. And so we added these little fences. It looks a little different from the other side, but so that they feel like they have a little bit of privacy. Also, we're not really over there, but it just gives them a little, it's blocked off and they can hop in the hot tub, and they have a fire pit over there too. That's their side and this is our side. So yeah, no guests like enter in through that gate, and we kind of access the garage, and that's just about it. Okay, so here is what separates our unit from the basement unit. So we did add this door in here. And yeah, so this just kind of, there's a lock here so that no one can get in through their side. And then when they check out, then sometimes I'll hop through to start cleaning or take a look at the unit after the guests have left. So now this is the separate door that they would enter through. So they have an electronic code where they type in the code to get in. This is the no contact. They don't have to have any touch points with us when they stay at our home. Jumping outside, so this is their hot tub. So they also have an inflatable hot tub. This just allows them to soak in something nice and have a nice little outdoor experience. They have a fire pit as well, so that they can enjoy some fresh air while staying in our home. I'm a pretty big proponent of hot tubs, so I just, especially in Colorado, I feel like most people filter on hot tub. They want to see a hot tub if it is at all possible. And again, this isn't necessarily the best situation as far as like privacy, but I think having that box checked, I think some people are looking for that. And so it just gives you a little bit of a leg up over some of the other properties out there. There are a lot of different basement units in the Denver area, And so by saying we have a basement unit that has a hot tub and a fire pit, I think it just gives a little bit of an advantage. All right, so when they enter, they are able to just type in the code and then they get in. Simple as that. So this, honestly, I just really love this look. And I looked up how much these panels were and it wasn't too expensive. And I don't even think any of these are in the picture, but I think it just, when you walk in, you want to feel like a welcoming entrance, and just before it was just a white wall, and just adding something like this, I think just makes people go, oh, that's cute when they walk in the door, and it just adds a little bit of something. So here may be where we can start to see a little bit of a difference as far as the ceilings. So luckily for me, I'm only 5'5", so the ceiling being a little bit low isn't really a factor, but we do put these signs on any portions where it ducks down a little bit lower. We also put it in the listing. So in the description we say, our ceilings are low at some points, so if that's a big concern, we want to mitigate that issue from the get-go. I think before, when we initially launched, we didn't have any information saying low ceilings, and we had some feedback on that. Since putting it in the listing description, we've never heard another comment about it. So reviews are extremely important to your Airbnb or Vrbo business. I think what most people don't realize is that a 5-star review is essential for you continuing to be high in the search results. Actually, to be the new thing is guest favorite. To be guest favorite, you need to be 4.9 and above. So it's really challenging to be really high in the search results. So even a 4-star review can negatively impact the way where your listing shows when looking up Airbnbs in Denver. So I think that's why it's so important to, first of all, if there are issues with guests, address them as quickly as possible and make sure that they feel heard and that you are being communicative with them. I find that we get the most positive feedback saying you address the issue as very, very quickly. And I think that goes a long way. Additionally, just adding small things, like we have some seasonings and we have salt and pepper and we have all the dishes they need, stuff like that, I think just makes people a little bit happier. When we've had bad guests, maybe something happened with the toilet needing to be plunged. Sometimes just even leaving a bottle of champagne or a bottle of wine, that goes a long way for them to say, wow, they really cared. They went above and beyond. Okay, so this is all brand new. So basically when we purchased, there was just a washer and dryer here. We ended up replacing that with a 2-in-1 washer dryer combo. I will say that was made by design of the space, and that has probably been the biggest pain point of this home. A washer dryer combo just doesn't quite do as well as just a full dryer, but it's kind of a learning experience, and you run it through the dryer 2 times. So I think it's still worth it. Mm-hmm. All of the countertops were added, all of the appliances were added. So you can see it's a little bit of a smaller kitchen. So we have some drying racks since we don't have a dishwasher. We have a countertop microwave and toaster and coffee pot, and then a smaller fridge. But pretty much just everything you could possibly need to cook something up quickly. And then dishes are in this little caddy here. Another thing I actually really recommend is Facebook Marketplace. I feel like this table, it's just, it was probably less than $100 on Facebook Marketplace. And I think most tables are probably in the 500 range. And so, especially for something that is a basement Airbnb, I think you can be really budget friendly. People are looking for something that's going to be a little cozier than a hotel, but just kind of fits the things they need so that they can have a good experience in Denver. So Facebook Marketplace, great. Amazon, great. We also love to add little games and I think in our bigger Airbnbs, you can add cornhole and you can add stuff that's outdoor games. So we kind of have done some smaller versions of it, like these ring tosses. And this little game just kind of adds a little something so that guests have fun at your Airbnb. So this is now the living room. So they have their own TV, their own sectional couch. And then this is I think is really cool about this house. It has this tiny little nook that is the perfect office. So I work from home a lot, and so sometimes when I'm looking for Airbnbs, I think, okay, does it have a desk? Does it have a dedicated workspace? And just having this, it just provides a really great experience for somebody who is coming into Denver they want to explore during the after work hours, but then during the work hours, they can work from here. Continuing on, this is the bedroom. I love the aesthetic of this. Just want to provide a cozy experience, and I think having some earth tones, people really like that. I love these hanging type of lampshades. Mirrors are always important to include as well. And then a place for them to keep their luggage. So luckily this home came with the egress window. I have since gotten quotes on installing egress windows for basements that maybe don't, or maybe that room didn't have the egress windows, and they are about $3,000 to $5,000 a window. So I don't think you see that return on investment. And so if you are able to find, especially in bedrooms, it technically is not a bedroom unless it has an egress window. And it is an important safety feature. If it's possible, get them with the egress windows because they are just really costly to install. So another thing actually that I really recommend is adding these fogs to the windows. So for example, through there is where we water the grass. I would never want someone thinking that we're trying to see anything, or they want their privacy, of course, as well. And so adding these fogs, we added them on the other windows as well. And I think it just provides a little bit more comfortability for the guests. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this vanity matches kind of the one upstairs. I love the boho vibe, but a little more like clean sophisticated. Clean boho. I just love the boho vibe. This shower was already here, fortunately. And what's interesting is that the plumbing work was really easy on the kitchen because the wall to the kitchen backs up to here. So they were kind of able to use the similar pipes and use those for the sink. So I just kind of added the colors and the decorations to this room. One of the biggest pain points is definitely we do not have a washer and dryer upstairs. And I think that is in some of the other homes where they already have the basement unit separated, they'll have already added the washer and dryer in the upstairs unit. It's something we're definitely looking into getting installed, but for now we just kind of wait until the guests have left, then we can do our laundry. Both fortunately and unfortunately, sometimes guests do book for a month. And so we have to think a little bit outside of the box and either go to a laundromat. There are different like washing and drying services. I think, in the moment that can feel like a headache, but if I think of the long-term like benefit of having a basement guest and the money that I got from there definitely pays for that laundry. So it's a little bit of a hassle, but I think it's totally worth the hassle.
What a setup, am I right? We were even discussing like off camera here, having even Laurel and TJ, yeah? DJ, yeah. DJ, her partner, moving into the basement, and that way having a higher return on the Airbnb upstairs potentially. Mm-hmm. What is preventing you from even doing that? Because I know a lot of house hackers out there are looking for like the best ROI on their house, all that good stuff, but maybe comfort is a factor here, yeah? Yeah,
I think once you feel really settled, and we've been living in the upstairs for 1 year and 2 months now, and so I think we're very settled. So it's definitely a conversation we have, even if we're going on a month-long trip, then maybe, but we might need to come back here and there. Like with the ski season, I think that sounds enticing, but then it's like, what costs? Having peace of mind and having your mental health in check as well also has a value to it. And so I think it's something worth trying out, and then assessing, okay, was that worth it or not? We do have 3 dogs, so not having the backyard where you can just let them out is, that takes time and energy. So
along with that, this isn't your first house hack. I think for a lot of people that are looking to first get into it, they're like gung-ho about it. I don't care, I'm going to sacrifice everything for the maximum income coming in, which is what I did when I first came to Denver. Of like, me and my wife stayed in the basement, We operated the main floor as a Airbnb, and we did have access to the backyard with our dog, which is great. But ultimately, we didn't have a full kitchen. We were using like air fryers, Instant Pots, all that good stuff. We were roughing it, but at the same time, like we were making a lot more money than if we were to live upstairs, you know?
Yeah.
So I think quality of life is a factor here. And sticking on the income discussion here, for those people that are looking to go from house hack number 1 to house hack number 2, we were mentioning off camera of like how much of the qualifying income with a short-term rental can move on to your debt to income ratio, what can you qualify for, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So you being a lender here, Laurel, I feel like you're the perfect person to talk to.
Yeah, so I mean, working with the lender, first of all, is very important to even give you recommendations on, okay, this is how you should even approach your tax return. So I think when I was doing my first house hack, I didn't fully understand how taxes came into play and how you should report the different incomes and stuff like that. But also learning, even recently, it's kind of changing where you can use Airbnb income to help qualify you for a mortgage. And it used to be that you could only use 75% of the anticipated rental income. So I feel like it's slowly shifting because Airbnbs are becoming so much more popular. And so that was something interesting that we were talking about. This house didn't have the basement kitchen originally, and so technically we couldn't say that we would have rental income, because really we didn't until December when we closed in July. Just the time to get everything up and running. Whereas the houses that already have the fully separated units, they do already have rental income that can start from the get-go. I believe we put 3% down. I kind of am a proponent of putting less down because I like to try to acquire more property. And so, yeah, I think 3, maybe 5% down. Not a great interest rate. We did do a 2-1 buy down, so that has helped for the first couple years. But I think we're going to be at about 6.99 once we hit next July. So hopefully we can refinance around then. So yeah, our mortgage sits at around $4,000 or so per month.
Okay, yeah. And then estimating, I guess annually speaking, how much are you anticipating like per month? Like how much are you averaging?
Yeah, for the basement unit, I would say we get about $1,800 per month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're almost like cutting it in half.
Yeah, I mean, our goal was we wanted to pay $1,250 each in rent. We just call it that we're paying rent towards the mortgage. And as long as, and then anything else that we get on top of the mortgage for this unit would be profit. And so we do see profit per month, considering we're both paying that $1,250 each.
Yeah. Mortgage. Assuming you're splitting that $1,800, $900 each, so you're saving about $350 in theory here.
Yeah.
You know, so that's pretty considerable as far as like, hey, that could all go to utilities, groceries, whatever that might be. So
I also think of it as like, we live in a 3-bed, 2-bath home for $2,500 a month, and that's pretty hard to find in the Denver area with a full backyard, everything's updated. So I think that's already a good deal, and we're building that equity.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, the equity part is a whole different conversation,
totally, yeah.
But that's great. As far as like you living upstairs and having the basement operating as a separate unit, there's a lot of people out there that would be willing to do the cleaning themselves, where they're like, hey, I don't want to pay cleaners $140 per turnover just to make sure that like, you know, it's good to go when I could do it and I'm just upstairs, right? Yeah. And I was mentioning to Laurel here that cleaners will not treat your house like you would treat your house, right? So making sure that everything's good to go. I mean, you were mentioning something about the couch as far as like slouching a little bit, right? Yeah. Cleaners won't notice that stuff. So anywho, what do you do? How do you operate your Airbnb business?
Yeah, so for this home, I do clean it most of the time. I will say we do have a cleaner that we reach out to if we're out of town or sometimes things are just too hectic. And but I do very much think of it as I can save that $100 and I can get paid that $100. And the nice thing, so the way we actually do operate this is that we do a 1 full day gap. so that I'm never stressed about, oh, I have to turn this over in 4 or 6 hours. And I feel like that has given me enough time that we can do our laundry as well as change out the linens, clean everything, and not feel like it's a stressful time crunch and everything has to happen ASAP.
Yeah, because if you were to have like a same day turnaround or a same day check in and check out, that's like what, 5-6 hours that you have to do everything. That's during business hours.
Yes,
you know, so
it's not, that's not worth it.
Not worth it.
So I feel like that kind of is the give and take, that I was willing to clean it as long as we would have a little bit of extra time.
I mean, this is great. I feel like this is one of the better basement setups that I've seen so far, especially like putting in a full-on kitchen and instead of just maybe like a hot pad and all that good stuff. I mean, there's a full-on sink and everything with enough kitchen and counter space. So that's clutch. If you were to give any sort of pieces of advice for any sort of first-time home buyers, first-time house hackers and things like that, I'm sure your first house hack was a whole different experience compared to this one, but now that you have 2 on the books, what sort of pieces of information would you give as far as those that are just completely novice to the idea?
I mean, I would say if you're interested in doing it, do it. Like, I think it is scary and things are still overwhelming at times, you know? It's not, but that is kind of the fun part of home ownership. It can be stressful, but it's also very rewarding. And I just love creative ways. Get creative with it. And there's so many different ways that you can make nobody would have guessed that this could be a separate unit, and we were able to make it work. And I think getting creative with the structure of a home and trying to piece like how you could separate it, even at a previous home, adding a wall, like stuff like that is really, I think it can happen more easily than you think. And you can make it happen by adding the stuff that you need.
Yeah. I like to tell people, especially that are coming from, let's say, the Bigger Pockets community or someone who's heard from a friend of like, hey, they did this. They hear all these stories, they read the research, they read the books and all that good stuff, but they still don't pull the trigger. And you can only learn maybe like 40% of what it's like to have a house hack. The other 60% is just owning the thing, right? And even then, when you do like learn and you go through all these troubles, all of that is worth it because there's so much advantages to just owning a home, period, right? Whether it's a house hack or not, the equity gain, the tax advantages, the rent increases, all that good stuff. So preaching to the choir here, you know? Yeah,
and I think if I take a step back and think of paying a $4,000 a month mortgage, we could make that work, but this is how we were able to make homeownership way more affordable, and I think that's why both you and I are such big proponents of it. It is more attainable than people realize. And I think the other thing I wanted to say is, like, I had my first house hack experience. I worked with a lender and a realtor that they didn't have experience in it, and I actually think it is really helpful to have people who have the eye for it in your corner, because they can help you be creative as well. You're not in it by yourself, and I think that was kind of a learning lesson of working with somebody who has a vision the way I kind of have visions, because it just helps give a little bit of a, like, you can bounce more ideas off of someone else than just like kind of talking to yourself in loops.
Yeah, like, am I thinking of this correctly? You know, like, am I crazy for thinking this? Having someone else that has done it before, that knows the numbers behind it, even knows the market and what you can potentially make on it, they can give you that proper sounding board advice.
Totally.
So it makes sense.
For people who maybe they're interested but not sure, and it can be, you know, sometimes it is like, there's somebody in the basement, and so I think some people realize down the road it's not for them, and that's also okay. Like, I think the conversation we've had is, right, this is great for right now. Maybe with kids down the road, it wouldn't be a good idea. And so you can always adjust. I think that's kind of another benefit, is you can try this out and then you can say, you know what, we actually want to occupy the whole space for whatever reason. And I think that's also the great thing. It's so flexible to whatever your needs are at that time.
It's almost life advice at that point.
Yeah.
Give it a shot, you know, and if it's not for you, great. You tried it, and instead of like having to have that regret in the back of your mind of like, I could have, I don't know, it would have, I don't know if it would have been for me, you know? And so the fact that you tried it gives you that extra sense of like, hey, ownership, that self-responsibility, self-confidence, and all that good stuff. And if it's not for you, that's completely fine, because this is tough, but it is very rewarding. Laurel, thank you so much for doing this. This is awesome.
Thank you.
So as far as like anyone with house hacking advice or lender help, how can people reach out to you?
Yeah, you can, my Instagram is real estate investor, real estate _invest HER. And yeah, that's probably the easiest way to reach out to me. I can provide my contact details by my phone number and email through there as well. And yeah, would love to work with any potential house hackers out there.
As you can tell, Laurel's done this several times already. I myself am a house hacker, and it sounds like she knows what she's doing. So reach out to Laurel for any sort of lending information, all that good stuff. And of course, you know how to reach me. All the contact information is down below. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next week.